Detroit's Hall of Shame. 5 cars that shattered the American dream. There was a time when buying an American car was a statement of faith in progress and power. But between the 1960s and 80s, the big three GM, Ford, and Chrysler managed to release a string of models that felt less like transportation and more like an act of sabotage against their own customers. These weren't just bad cars, they were monuments to engineering hubris and marketing insanity. 1. The 1976 Cadillac Deville. The last gasp of the dreadnought. If the term excess had a logo, it would be the 1976 Cadillac. Stretching nearly 6 meters long, this behemoth was the final, desperate roar of an era where oil was treated as infinite and parking spaces as limitless. The technical absurdity. Under the hood lay a monstrous 8.2-liter 500 cubic inch V8. On paper, it sounded majestic. In reality, due to suffocating emissions regulations, the engine was strangled down to a pathetic 190 horsepower, roughly what you'd find in a modern 4-cylinder family crossover. Why it failed? It drank fuel like an ocean liner, roughly 810 mpg, without providing any real performance. Worse yet, the build quality hit rock bottom. This flagship luxury car suffered from cheap car diseases, erratic electronics, headlights that could fail on a dark highway, and cooling systems that regularly vomited coolant onto the pavement. It was the moment loyal Cadillac owners began looking toward Mercedes-Benz with genuine curiosity. 2. The 1978 Oldsmobile Delta 88 diesel. A death sentence for the diesel engine. In the late 70s, General Motors decided to hype-train fuel economy by offering Americans a diesel V8. The idea was sound, but the execution became a textbook example of how not to engineer a power plant. Engineering negligence. Instead of designing a diesel from scratch, Oldsmobile engineers took a standard 350 cubic inch gasoline block and tried to convert it. They forgot that diesel combustion creates nearly double the internal pressure. The head bolts, designed for gasoline loads, simply couldn't take it. They stretched and snapped, blowing head gaskets and allowing coolant to flood the cylinders, instantly hydrolocking and destroying the engines. Cutting corners. To save a few bucks, GM omitted a water separator from the fuel system. Consequently, any drop of water in the fuel caused immediate, catastrophic corrosion of the expensive pumps and injectors. Owners were hit with $2,000 repair bills, a fortune at the time, and GM faced class action lawsuits that poisoned the American public's perception of diesel cars for decades. 3. The 1960 Plymouth Fury. The rusty minimalist. In the early 60s, Chrysler made one of the strangest strategic blunders in history. Based on a misunderstood rumor that Chevrolet was planning to shrink its cars, Chrysler downsized its flagship Plymouth Fury overnight. Visual shock. Buyers expecting massive tail fins and chrome were met with a strange, narrow, and plucked-looking car. The Fury looked like it belonged in a lower class, yet it carried a full-size price tag. A quality catastrophe. The real nightmare was the new unibody construction. These cars began to rot literally on the way from the dealership to the owner's home. Rust attacked the structural pillars so aggressively that the chassis would lose its rigidity, causing doors to jam shut or fly open. By 1963, Chrysler had to launch an emergency redesign, but the damage was done. Finding a living 1960 Fury today is nearly impossible. Most of them simply dissolved into the atmosphere. 4. The 19,851,987 Cadillac Deville. A clone for double the price. By the mid-80s, General Motors was obsessed with parts bin sharing. This led to the 1985 Cadillac Deville becoming a victim of corporate homogenization, losing its identity. The new Deville was 24 inches shorter than its predecessor, while better for handling. It looked almost identical to the much cheaper Buick Electra and Oldsmobile 98 built on the same 100 body platform. Wealthy clients were furious. Why pay Cadillac prices when the neighbor bought the same car as a Buick for $10,000 less? Technical impotence. The 4.1-liter V8 was chronically underpowered and unreliable. The cars plagued owners with alternator failures, digital dashboard glitches, and squeaky interior plastics. This was the decisive blow to the brand's prestige. Cadillac ceased to be an exclusive dream and became just a high-trim version of a generic GM product. 5. The 19,811,983 Chrysler Imperial. An electronic nightmare. When Lee Iacocca revived the Imperial name in '81, he wanted to create a technological masterpiece. Instead, he created Frankenstein's monster, the K-Car King. Chrysler took the budget K platform used for the cheap Dodge Aries, draped it in heavy steel, leather, and wood, and slapped on an elite price tag. It was like trying to sell a budget hatchback in a tuxedo. Glitches on the move. The car was stuffed with electronics the industry wasn't ready for. The electronic fuel injection was so temperamental that Chrysler eventually offered owners a free downgrade to a standard carburetor just to keep the cars running. Digital panels would go black, and the talking alert system designed to warn of malfunctions would either stay silent during a crisis or scream at the driver in the middle of the night for no reason. In 3 years, they failed to sell even 16,000 units, ending the project with colossal losses.